Hey, I'm Couch Coop, and what the hell are we doing today? We're looking at Bioshock's announcement and the Netflix series that's been announced for some time in 2023 now. It's not all good news because it's Vertigo Productions that are in conjunction with 2K that are putting this together. They have done some shockers, including the live-action Death Note. I'm actually looking at Brahms, or whatever it's called, The Boy. It's on Netflix at the moment. Yeah, they've not got the best track record, but they haven't got an awful track record. So this video is really about a sort of ideal world of how we could actually get the most perfect Bioshock story told through the medium of film and TV. And if you don't know, film is one of my second passions next to gaming, and I'm so interested in how this could pan out. And of course, I'm having thoughts about a nice big chunky long series that goes right from the inception of Rapture itself and follows through all the events leading up to Infinite, but I'm really not keen on seeing any of that Sky City material, and I very much doubt they'll go anywhere near that. The more I've been thinking about this, the deeper down this sort of fantasy rabbit hole I've gone in, and I'm thinking about ideal directors for it, sets, production, the use of prosthetics. That's something I want to talk about, because Bioshock could be a perfect balance of prosthetic for the Big Daddy and that sort of CGI for the outside water background scenery. That's also why I think this would make a brilliant series as well, because Rapture's clearly represented within the game franchise in two different states. One, decay and complete chaos, and the other, this beautiful, pristine Art Deco finish. Let's get to characters and creatures, because that's a big chunk for me, and I was thinking about casting as well. Also, all of the practical effects that could involve the Big Daddies themselves. If I hadn't seen such a great job done on that new Dark Crystal, I wouldn't be behind some really high-level practical effects in this. It would be epic to see that done properly again. I'm a big fan of a lot of 80s horror, and so to have that pushed in with a sort of higher level, you saw some of it in the new Jurassic Parks, it could be awesome. Splicers also could be handled all under practical. We wouldn't need any CGI, maybe on their movement a little bit, but that would be so immersive to have a completely realised in-camera splicer jumping around with hooks on his hands.
Cloud! Fucking Cloud! You think you're so funny!
Okay, characters and casting, I had a bit of fun with this one. First off, straight up, the thank you kindly Atlas Irish accent. That's Colin Farrell. He would be so good in that, I think. Don't hold him in too high regard as an actor, but it just feels like that part would be perfect for him. And of course, Fontaine, the brutish, thuggish gang leader, would be amazing. Hardy would be so cool in that, seeing them both, having this tete-a-tete over the dialogue within the original Bioshock 1 could be so cool. And of course, Andrew Ryan would have to be Oscar Isaac, Spiv Oscar Isaac from Sucker Punch. That's just a no-brainer. Half Vertigo's budget would go on Hardy's salary for the first hour, but it's nice to imagine about it. We haven't even got to the directors yet. The protagonist, the character you play in Bioshock 1 is called Jack. Yeah, I had to Google that as well. It's a bit of a Gordon Freeman thing. He's faceless and barely says anything in the first game. Booker DeWitt, completely different in Infinite, and of course that would have to be played by Samuel Bucket from Quantum Leap. Sticking with the minimising CGI and practical idea, and I was racking my brains with like a location. Where could they use that would simulate, a Rapture, huge open halls? And then it dawned on me, and I went past it every day for 12 years on the train, and it is of course Battersea Power Station. Londoners will know it well, and if you've been lucky enough to see inside this building, oh my god, if they spent a couple of million on making this the ultimate Bioshock set, even putting a tank around the outside and filling that with water so they didn't have to CGI the glass. Warning you guys, I'm going pretty damn deep with this one. Alright, let's get to directors. This is the biggest chunk, and I've ranked it as well. I've gone from this sort of outside in, because I've seen a few films recently that have really sort of changed my angle on a lot of newer directors. I'm not a big fan of modern films. That's a terrible thing to say, but very few modern films actually get me passionate.
Compromise? Is that why we came to Rapture?
That brings me on to Denis Villeneuve. a director's work that I have appreciated. I didn't like the new Blade Runner. I thought it was a bit convoluted on the story front. Visually, it was goddamn stunning. One of the best films of that year to come out. I am such a massive fan of the original Blade Runner that trying to replace that is just a daft idea. But I was pretty impressed with what they managed. And then, of course, we come over to The Arrival, which I really loved its sort of cleanness and its visuals, really crisp greys. Everything was a nice sterile, almost Nolan-like. And that brings me up to the remake of Dune. And again, I'm a massive Lynch fan. I was so impressed with the interiors and the experience this director shows with that sort of lighting, and it does almost lean on a granular decor. Rapture could very much benefit from a visionary like this. Garland actually also crossed my mind, but he's a good writer and the writing's kind of already there with this subject matter, I feel. Ridley also would make a fantastic choice, but the man is seriously old now. I went to see that Gucci film. The only reason I knew it was a Ridley Scott film was the goddamn Scott-free intro. Beautiful sets, everything was great, but Raised by Wolves, I think he's maybe distancing himself, but think about that Prometheus world that he built. Man, we could use some of that experience with Bioshock. But then I'm thinking underwater experience, machinery, 80s, oh my god, Jim Cameron, the guy that made The Abyss. He totally understands big machines as well and world building. Avatar will ignore, but look at the amazing Aliens film that he made. Cameron's so weird. He's technically one of my favourite directors on paper. He's made some. Terminator was incredible. The way that man cut his teeth as a director was just so cool. Such a great story. Going back to the CGI practical problem, and look at Neil Blomkamp and Wingnut Productions and how good those creatures looked on District 9. Elysium is also a great idea of a clean, pristine, off-world settlement that kind of mimics Rapture a little bit with its distance from civilization and housing, the elite and the scientific greats. That Oat Studio stuff he did was really good, and it does show that man with a limited budget can really work the CGI well, and I think he would be perfect to straddle that practical in-camera effects coupled with jaw-dropping CGI. I'm also going to throw in Dark City as well as a sort of interesting piece, because I was looking at steampunk films or top dystopian films, and there, unless you want to put Wild Wild West in, you've not got too much choice. But that is an incredible vision of a city that is metamorphosizing and changing. I think that dark deco area was really covered well with that film. Elizabeth constantly photobombing all my footage, the cigarette smoke on the side there. It's like having John Carpenter on set.
This world values children, not childhood.
But then it came to me, the perfect man for the job is actually a Eureka moment. I was in the bath and I was like, holy shit, of course. We need a dark dystopian city. We need a crazy world built around it. We need zany, awesome characters. We need a sort of altered future almost. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Terry Gilliam should direct the Bioshock film/super series. I think the man would be absolutely perfect. Looking back at Brazil and some of the set design and how amazing and authoritarian those really cool pieces look, and 12 Monkeys and their altered history, all that brilliant steampunk technology and the crazy doctors and how they're looking through like retro screens, it's supposed to be in the future. I think the man could handle this so well, and the Art Deco 40s 50s vibe would be a project he would just take on board. It's just a shame I very much doubt any of these directors have looked into the subject matter, and that's the issue with video games and modern films. There's only one video game film that I'm willing to stand next to, and of course it is the Silent Hill with Sean Bean. It's not bad at all. Call him Sean Bean because his name is Sean, but Sean is an Irish inflection on the spelling of it, so you can't have it both ways. It's either Sean Bean or Sean Bourne. And you put in the comments who you'd like to see play Elizabeth, whether she should even be in it, and should this series just concentrate on Bioshock 1, Bioshock 2, should it go anywhere near Infinite, flying around on a skyhook, racism? I'm not sure Netflix want to look into that. So let's have a think at how this could come to beautiful fruition. It won't. We'll all get broken hearted. Fingers crossed it will get cancelled. Up in Couch Coop. I see you there!